Alright, welcome back everybody. We got another Blue Mage solo video here for you. This one's going to be for Cinder Drift, the level 80 trial. We're going to be doing this unrestricted and level synced. That's going to make our spell learn rate 100%. It's going to be exactly the same as doing it in a group full of 8 Blue Mages, but we'll be doing it by ourselves. Unfortunately, this did end up taking me 2 attempts. This is my first attempt, and I was a bit worried about how much damage was going to be coming my way while I was level synced down, so I decided the best course of action was going to be to put Bad Breath on, and I didn't think I'd have the time to use a Moon Flute. I thought I'd be doing a lot more healing than I end up doing. So unfortunately I take off Moon Flute, and that is why I die on this first attempt. So I'm going to speed up this footage, and we'll go straight to the second attempt. I do have a 10% echo for that, which is unfortunate, but you can see, I'll show the end of my first attempt. We wipe at 0%. I'm at 0.4%, a couple of crits or a lucky parse here or there would have easily got me this first kill even without Moon Flute. Or if I had just saved up some more cooldowns for that Enrage. So with that, we'll skip through. It's going to be really fast. We'll get to that first real attempt where I've got my Moon Flute. Alright guys, let's slow this back down. At the end of this fight, the final 5% is going to be an Enrage cast. You have to kill him before that Enrage goes off or you're going to die. I wish I had known a little bit more of the mechanics of this fight before I started, but this was my first attempt. So unfortunately I wasn't as familiar with the fight as I used to be. So with this first one here, if I had saved up my cooldowns properly and had more things ready or just had a Moon Flute going, I could have gotten through this no problem. This is going to be that 0% wipe we talked about. It made me so sad, but you know, we live and learn. Learn from my mistake. Put on Moon Flute, or at the very least, stack up your cooldowns better than I did. So this will be our first real attempt that's going to result in our first kill. You'll see me go straight back and put on Moon Flute because I know that was what got me killed. So I'll go through some of the mechanics and how I handle them just on the off chance that maybe there's somebody that doesn't know how to do this but would like to try this solo. So I'll go through some of the stuff, but it's absolutely doable. There's nothing fancy that you gotta do. You need all your cooldowns, so your DPS is pretty good. Moon Flute and all that. You're gonna want some gear. I'm just in 530 gear in every slot. I don't even have the higher item level weapon. I don't have materia in. I did pop a bit of food just for this attempt, but nothing too crazy. Stamp is his tank buster, doesn't hit that hard. After that first tank buster, you'll see I'm executing this Moon Flute window because he's about to stop attacking for a while. This will give me time to sit there and wait for that Moon Flute to wear off while he just kind of does nothing. For this mechanic, you're going to find the long lines that come out from the boss, stand just outside the hitbox, and stand on that long line, and that's always the safe zone. Any of the long lines work. I just always choose the one in front. Liquefaction turns the ground into quicksand. You're going to move up on top of the cracks to avoid that liquefaction. It's not a big deal if you stand in it for a couple of seconds, but you may as well already be on that crack. Ruby Ray, line AoE in front of the boss. It's the entire width of the whole boss, so make sure you're all the way off on the flank by those flank arrows. Optimize Ultima is always just an AoE, nothing too crazy to worry about. I use Devour to heal myself up as much as I can. Flexiclaw is going to be a little bit different this time. It's going to create a spiral. You're going to go to the back right of one of those circles that is going to move away from you along that spiral. It's always a safe zone. If you need a little more time to think for this mechanic, because you're worried about getting hit by that stuff, if you back up, you'll get a little extra time to kind of position. But don't worry too much about that. Stack markers, I like doing Diamondback for them. It just makes it easier. You don't have to heal yourself back up. You're going to burn through a bunch of mana healing. You're going to burn through a bunch of global cooldowns, making sure that you survive that. So I just Diamondback it so I don't have to think about it. Wastes a little bit of time, wastes a little bit of mana, but it's safer. After that series of charge attacks, he'll go to one wall, and this is going to be another tank buster. Make sure you've got a cooldown running. You can use Shalonian Gate and nothing else. That's plenty to survive. It'll do about half your health and damage or so you can White Wind to heal back up. After that tank buster, I'm going to go straight into another Moon Flute phase because he doesn't do a whole lot. First thing he's going to do is teleport around the arena to a new spot. You can use J-Kick to get over to him. So you can just always do your Moon Flute right there at that point, and then J-Kick over and start your rotation. So you'll see here I execute a half-decent Moon Flute, but nothing like a professional. And then I run away from the boss after my Moon Flute wears off, just so I don't have to take any melee attacks. He's going to go right back into another Flexiclaw, no more melee attacks from here, so we're perfectly safe. This is going to be a little bit like the first Flexiclaw cast. You're going to find those long lines, stand just outside of that hitbox, wait for the first mechanic to resolve. This is going to be a little bit different now. The lines themselves are going to explode, so get away from the cracks in the ground, wait for it to explode, and that's that mechanic resolved. At this point, you've pretty much seen everything that he's going to do, so if you can get through those mechanics, you can get through this whole fight. The last thing to worry about is that 5% enrage, so I'm going to let this play out, and we're going to go to the end, and I'll talk a little bit about what you want to do there, so we'll see you at the end. Alright, we'll slow that down, and we'll go into this last phase here. I'm going to play this super cautiously. I did not want another 0% wipe, so you'll see me really feathering his health, not trying to push too hard. I want to catch him mid-mechanic, but unfortunately my next mechanic is one where he's going to be immune to all damage. But I got the stack marker I got to deal with, so I couldn't push him right then. But it's fine, you don't have to push him at any specific time. I don't know if there's a hard enrage timer, but it's certainly much longer than 10 minutes. So I let him do all this so that I can generate all my cooldowns again. So you'll see me sitting on a bunch of the longer stuff, getting ready. I'm going to execute a Moon Flute here, but I do have to worry about the Tank Buster. So I'll be sitting here for a little bit, just kind of feathering that health a little, getting some damage in, but not wanting to push. And then as soon as I realize he's going to do that tank buster, I get ready to heal it, and then go straight into my Moon Flute. Healed, straight into Moon Flute as soon as he's in place. There we go. And then I'll do my burst, and he'll die with time to spare. A lot easier when you have a Moon Flute ready. And from here you can see action learned. It's really not a hard fight. I'll let this whole thing play out, and I'll show the chat logs. I mean, hopefully nobody thinks I'm faking this. It's really easy. So I encourage anybody, if you don't want to form these groups, or if you're a Blue Mage that's a little bit behind that curve and you can't find people, you can do this alone. If you look at my spell book at various points during this video, you'll see I don't even have a lot of the new spells yet. I actually went through, I soloed Matoya's Relic, I soloed Cosmos, and I soloed Malika's Wells to get those spells. But beyond that, I really didn't have a lot of the new stuff. I just had old stuff, which is going to be a lot easier to go back to solo now. Somewhat. You still have spells like Phantom Flurry. Phantom Flurry is a lot of damage, and you're really going to want that spell. So that's one of those big ones. I don't know about soloing that. I'd have to go back and give that a shot. I'm sure it's possible, but that'll be a video for another day. So that's it. This is going to be the final phase. We don't have to do this boss fight. We can just die and move on. If you can kill one of these ads before they group up like that, you can actually get this fight down, I would assume. But I didn't want to try to optimize a burst there. I'm not that worried about it. You can't get log credit, and this is just normal anyway, so there is no loot to worry about. So I'm just showing off the spell I learned, and I'll show the chat log where I learned it, where the fight dialogue took place, just to hopefully dispel any suspicions. But yeah, guys, it's really not so bad, and give it a try. I think it's a lot easier than forming a group. It takes about 10 minutes, maybe 11 minutes. If you wipe once, it'll take 20 minutes, but that's probably how long it'll take you to find 8 Blue Mages. So, have a good one, guys. Happy Blue Mage.